Okay, Andrew, you wanted to talk about dynamic attributes.
Cool. So this came about because I've been looking at GraphQL a little bit recently, and one of the things about GraphQL is that we are lumping it into ecosystem group, one of the ecosystem groups at the moment, but really um, what we want to do is attribute the GraphQL calls that come from the client to the server to the stage group that's generating the calls. And so the first iteration of that, we're going to use a very basic. We're going to use the GON that gets set as part of the rendered HTML page, and we're already pushing the feature category through on that, and we'll just pass that back from the caller. And that has some problems that we know about. In particular, like the merge request page has got all sorts of different feature categories widgets on it, and at the moment it'll just say whatever the merge request is part of.
Overview, yeah.
But it's a first iteration, and the next iteration will improve on it, but it helps us kind of set up lots of other infrastructure. Like in particular, we'll have to start figuring out the cause stuff, which is actually another thing I was kind of surprised by when I was looking into this now, but that's another question. And we can start setting up the way we collect the data. We can start feeding it into error budgets, and all of those parts. But I don't want to get stuck on making it too perfect yet, because there's so many other things that we can unblock if we just do the simple thing. And so I put together a merge request, which was quite a lot of fun because I haven't played with Webpack in many years. And it basically sends that information through. But once it arrives on the server, the problem is that that information is set statically on the GraphQL controller. And I was wondering whether we should have I was thinking what we could do maybe is a feature category, and then the value is like dynamic or something. And if it's dynamic, it actually I don't know, calls the class and asks it, hey, what feature category are you, or something like that. Or alternatively, we can use like thread local values, which I don't really like, but it, looking at the code, it might just be easier than refactoring everything.
Yeah, I mean, another option is we can make it
request local, not thread local, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Effectively the same thing if it gets reset, I guess. I'm just going to check how we actually do this right now, but I think the other option is we could make it so that we act as if this is an instance method on the controller, like you mentioned. But that instance method by default just calls the class method.
The class method, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So then, sorry, I'm just looking at feature category. Yeah, so, well, in fact, that's actually what it does at the moment already. So in application
it does control, are you talking about with feature category or with class attributes or whatever it's called? There's a class that looks like it fetches.
Yeah, so at the moment in application controller, for instance, we have a feature category instance method that just calls feature category for the action on the class, which uses that with feature category thing that you mentioned. So it would be relatively easy to say override that for the GraphQL controller or for all controllers to say, look and see if there's something in the request data that says we should use something, otherwise go back to the class. I think because that way we don't need to change.
That's really elegant.
Because that way we don't need to change anything else, but for GraphQL, obviously that doesn't work.
And we just override it in one place.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
But yeah, I think getting GraphQL, I mean, obviously feature attribution for GraphQL is like a huge blind spot at the moment. So like anything is going to be a win. And so,
sorry, the merge request is working.
Okay.
So, it's sending it back, but it's, as I said, it's a bit rough around the edges, but it's better than nothing.
Yeah. And another thing I saw you mentioned there was reactive caching worker.
Yes.
Which is interesting. Sorry, go on.
Yeah. No, because yeah, that could probably work in that case as well if we made it an instance method on the whatever the base background class is background worker class that we uses.
Yeah. So in the logs, I don't think in the metrics, but in the logs, I actually just fixed this to always say not owned, because previously reactive caching worker did say the feature category of the thing that it was calling it. But the reason I fixed that was because it was doing that for every worker, and for most workers, we don't want that. For most workers, we want the feature category of the worker. So if like the merge worker is called by a pipeline, so merge when pipeline succeeds, say a pipeline worker calls the merge worker should be source code, even though the pipeline worker is continuous integration, because we know what the worker is. But for reactive caching, because it's not owned, we actually want the inheritance. And Bob did mention that, and I was like, I'm making that out of scope. But
do we want to make it that it's like that for all not owned?
Yes, I think that's probably the way to do it. So like, I think Bob was right. I just like pushed it out because I wanted to fix my thing. But yeah, any not owned. Let me make a note of this.
That's really elegant.
I'll actually create an issue for that.
Do we pass that in from the like website as well? Will it inherit, like if you call directly to? Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
So if a web controller or API endpoint schedules a worker, we can get the feature category from that context.
Yeah. Perfect.
Which is what we want. And then we can say, if this worker is not owned, use that feature category. Otherwise, use the feature category defined on the worker. Yes, because if it's defined on the worker, we consider that more reliable. So yeah, let me create an issue for that later, because I can just do that.
Yeah, that's really nice.
We did by accident. So the other thing you were saying there was, sorry, I was going to ask was about the metrics. So I don't think this is a problem because we don't have feature category on anything that is
static. Oh.
Anything that has the root, right? So it's not like we're adding a bunch of feature categories to a root. Do we have feature category on things? Maybe we do. I can't remember.
You mean on Grape?
On Grape or on HTTP request total or something like that. Like,
I thought we did.
Just have a look at. No, whoops.
Yeah.
Not going to get all the series for HTTP request total because that's not going to fly. But yeah, no, I was just wondering about the cardinality there, because if we have, I suppose it'll only be a couple of controllers that can do this, right? So, the issues controller, for instance, won't have multiple feature categories.
Yeah.
But the GraphQL controller will have essentially every feature category.
Okay, I see. It'll kind of, and there's a bit of a cardinality explosion there, but it's limited to.
Yeah, it's not a full explosion because it's not on every controller. So it's yeah. I mean, it's probably going to be not much worse than what we've already got.
And we could probably just check that it's in the. Marin's just got a. We should probably just check that it's in the set, so that people can't kind of cause a cardinality explosion by just sending through dozens or hundreds of different feature categories in the header.
Well, the problem is we already have a lot of feature categories, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, let me check.
Oh, right, yeah.
Where is it? It's in config feature categories.yaml. So we've already got 126. So I mean, definitely worth allow listing that to make sure you can't send through thousands, but it's already pretty high.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, a lot of those won't be legitimately used at the moment, but we can't really rely on that because, like, we want people to be able to add a new feature that uses GraphQL that uses that feature.
Yeah.
I think it's fine because it really only applies to the GraphQL controller, and that's it on like web, right, or API.
It's basically Epic's boards incidents. It's all the new stuff, but
Yeah.
there's not actually a huge number of things using GraphQL yet.
Yeah, I think
I'm sure it'll expand over time, but yeah. Cool. That's I think we can just kind of take the hit with that in the first round, and then we'll figure it out later.
Like I said, I mean, basically, if it's 120 odd, and it's just for one route, then it's basically like adding 120 odd routes, which could happen. And then the rest of the stuff would just work, right? I don't think we have anything in our alerting or in our dashboards that assumes that one route has one feature category, do we?
I don't think so. There might be something that we just discover that actually probably Bob would be the best person, especially with the code around the error budgeting, right? So, but it wouldn't be hard to fix. Well,
No.
actually, I don't think so, because we aggregate by, I don't even think we even include the endpoint in any of those aggregations. So it should be fine. It might be that it looks a bit funny on some of the stage group pages where it's got like a series per endpoint or something. And there might be, I don't know, something. No, it'd just be that multiple people will see a GraphQL.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's probably the right answer.
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, for the first one, the GraphQL controller should be relatively easy. We've just override feature category in there. Now, I'm pretty sure that feature category method is the entry point for metrics and for logs, but it'll be worth testing that. But even if it's wrong, we'll see it when we deploy it. So yeah. Cool. Cause.
This is just, if anyone's got a pointer, this isn't really a scalability thing, but if anyone's got a few in particular. So I was kind of expecting that cause would be managed by the application, and the application would kind of emit the headers that it allowed clients to send back, and all the allowed access allowed headers, controls, and all those things. But it looks as though Omnibus doesn't seem to do it, and we do it on GitLab.com in Chef, which is kind of surprising to me, and it's kind of decoupled from the application. And it also means that our customers don't get the same cause headers as we get. But I don't know if it's just surprising. I don't know.
I think there was a reason. Well, I think there was a reason for this. It's not the most amazing insight. I think there was a reason that was not enabled by default, but I can't remember what it was.
Okay.
Let me just have a quick look. Sorry.
Didn't we cause breakage for our own for our customers? They had different setups, and enabling this is very custom towards, right?
It's very hard to retroactively add it. That I think is problematic.
Yeah.
And it might just be that.
I'm not finding anything in my email, just full of like old issues where we'd misconfigured it. So maybe, I think like Marion said, that's probably the thing. It's like very hard for us to enable that by default in a way that won't break
everyone else.
But your point about this being controlled in configuration and the application, I don't know about that side.
Okay. Because we're gonna, there might be other places where we want to start sending back that X GitLab feature category header as well. So it we'll have to have that going through and allowed via cause.
Yeah, and then the epic I linked is about, I guess, baggage in the context of tracing. So I think Igor was looking at this a while ago, and so was I, and then I sort of dropped it because it would have been a bigger project, and it looks like that bigger project is happening. So this is about propagation in general. So that would be if the feature category comes to the GraphQL controller from the front end, then that feature category will go down to Gitaly and up to Workhorse and so on correctly.
I'm a little bit nervous about using baggage for application concerns, if that makes sense. because it feels like the trace baggage is like a very much like a tracing concern, and or at least that's my kind of initial take on it. And so if you're just using it for tracing, I think it's good. I mean, I also don't know if like is baggage guaranteed to be passed when a trace when a trace isn't being sampled, or when tracing is off for this request,
I don't know,
for example. So like it sort of feels like we kind of breaking the abstraction to pass our own data through, and then that becomes a slippery slope. Like, oh, it'd be really nice if we could just know all these other things. Let's pass it through the baggage. And I've heard that it can become like a real pain point, and people dealing with like 8K baggage.
Yeah, I thought I did see that
bags.
people were using that for. I guess it depends what you consider like application concerns, but like they were using it for things like prioritization and stuff. So
really, okay,
yeah, but I mean, this is stuff that is from a couple of years ago. So it's possible that the recommendations have moved on since then, because it turned out that was a terrible idea.
Yeah, and I have heard of really bad kind of, where people it's kind of like I mean, it's not quite the same, but it kind of reminds me of like when people discovered thread locals, and it was like, this is great. We want to pass something from here to here. We'll just stick it in a thread local. We don't need to change anything. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, what have we created here?
Yeah,
and it's like that with serialization.
It's also like a context thing, right? Like,
yeah.
That's the thing that you pass things around in. So that's the thing you pass things around in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. I'll I would be a little bit concerned about using baggage for, I don't know, it depends on what it is, I guess.
Yeah, I think initially we were planning on just using it for the current application context, which does include feature category, but the idea being that the application context gets down into downstream services, and then up into workhorse, which I think is the only upstream service really that we're interested in here, so that we can look in the workhorse logs and say, oh, this was this user because it was passed back from Rails to workhorse.
We do have our own baggage, which is the correlation ID is our own implementation of baggage as well.
Yes, and the idea was to make it easier to pass everything that's in the application context. I think obviously this epic isn't fully fleshed out yet, but I think the basic idea was, if we consider correlation ID as part of our application context, the idea is make it automatic that every field in application context goes where correlation ID does.
Yeah, and which is basically the meta fields, the application, and then but then be fiercely kind of protective over what gets added to that, and not allow as long as it's that, and it's not just a random sort of bag that an application developer can push things into and then retrieve in Giddily or something like that, then I think it's
right, I get what you mean now. So you're when you say application stuff, you're meaning like basic logic off like
like we I don't know, like, what plan is this person on, because we're going to have a different back end or something. Okay, we'll just push that into the application context and use that for controlling the flow of the application.
Right. Yes. No, I see. I think basically that should be opaque in terms of like, we don't make decisions based on it.
Yeah, and we don't allow application developers to push like arbitrary values in there, for example.
No, we just want to make it possible that when we add a new value, we don't have to go and update. Like,
okay, yeah. Then I think we're all on. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, as long as it's not the right, because what I was thinking about, like when you said baggage, is the baggage that like Open Tracing and Open Telemetry have is quite like, it's basically an arbitrary bag of like a hash map, and you just push things in there, and then it's very tempting for people to do terrible things with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, no, I was just using baggage because that is the term from Open Tracing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's difficult because like context is sort of a natural term, but then that's overloaded, especially in Go. So yeah.
Cool.
Okay. I don't have anything to demo because I've been off. since the last demo. So yeah.
I guess there's one more thing if we've got a minute, which I don't really know. It's also like, I think it's really kind of more for Rachel and Bob, but let me just put a little bookmark on here and then I'll link to it. It's just one other thing that I just wanted to raise and kind of make sure that it's kind of understood, which is a comment that I made in the InfraDev call yesterday about error budgets and not relying only on them yet. And I don't want to, like, I don't want to take it in the wrong way or out of context. And I kind of wasn't sure whether to say it, even to say it or not, but I could see the conversation going in one direction. And so basically what it is at the moment, we've had a few really big incidents and there's a lot of pressure at the executive level to address this. And, we've got error budgets now as a tool that we can use to do this. But my only point was that error budgets are really nice, but it's still like early days. And we can't just, because I saw one conversation where it was like, well, what does the error budget say? That's what we're going to do. And I just wanted to make sure that everyone was aware, like, not everything is in the error budget. And, there will be incidents that we don't have in there. And I started thinking, like, should we, like, how do we kind of quantify that? Like, should we have a thing where we say, well, here's the error budgets, but here's also some incidents that were very much caused by, this particular endpoint, or, like the registry incident that didn't count in the error budgets because it was in front of HA proxy and it didn't actually hit any of our observability.
So like, the error rate,
and it wasn't. And it wasn't the container team's fault. I mean,
the error rate will be 0 because we had 0 requests.
So that's kind of like, I just wanted to, like, and also it got me thinking, like, how can we start improving this and adding like those things in? And I think that at some point there's going to have to be like a human factor, but I haven't thought it through at all. But I just wanted to.
Yeah, it's difficult
to raise it.
Yeah, we don't have unless we were like using the push gateway or something to like push incident data into Prometheus. Like we don't really have a way of putting that on a dashboard. So I think the InfraDev stuff is the best way we can like surface that at the moment, but then that's not really it doesn't really have the same purpose as the error budgeting. So
it's I think what it will be is it'll be like, at least initially, it'll be, here's the error budget data, but there's also these special circumstances. And so, this was very much, and so I was saying one of the things was like the access group, the authorized projects, which is something we've been knowing about for a long time. That is something we've got to look at. And I don't even really know where they fall, like in ranking on error budget, but like I would say that's something that's really critical.
Yes.
And so how do we change the ranking so that they are the budget also reflects that that's like critical?
Yeah, I think. I think Marin's comment in the doc sort of makes sense to me, that like we're introducing these as like, this is the first step. We don't want people to think this is the only thing I look at.
So the problem I have with this now is that it actually derails a bunch of conversations to a wrong direction and actually puts us back to what we did last year. So one of the suggestions that one of the senior leaders in development now has is, let's go and look through the incident issues. We already did that. We already did that multiple times. And we all know how unreliable that is. And also, furthermore, we all know how much work it is to ensure that those incidents that are manually created also have the correct metadata, attribution, and so on and so on. So my very big concern right now is that people are going to start conflating things, which is already happening, and that instead of talking about exactly what you just said, Andrew, which is how do we ensure that we pull some of these things in, and if it's manual, it's manual, that's okay, but it's part of this same framework. What's happening right now is that I'm having a separate discussion with someone in another channel saying, can we just do this in incidents, which we did last year.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, and yeah, we know that doesn't work. Absolutely.
Right. And
it's just ancillary data, right? It's like an extra. We know that there are. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I would rather go down the route of just saying that what we have in InfraDev is your top priority. Whoever has an issue in InfraDev can ship.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I would prefer that.
Yeah, I think yeah, there has to be that human element, because the other thing I've noticed about the error budgets, which is a bit of a tangent, is that most of the people going over the error budgets are going over because of app decks, and that is fine. That is good, because that's what we have the app decks threshold set at. And I know Bob's been working at allowing people to like set a slightly different threshold for certain cases where we know that like it can't meet the current one for whatever reason. But I do worry it sort of ends up like the GPT issues, the GitLab performance toolkit issues, where it's like, you know, they can sometimes be a bit divorced from like what we actually need to work on right now, because it's just I don't know. I worry that people, like, you know, they want to know what the one thing they need to know is, like, to work on, but like there's never one answer to that. So yeah, I think that's my concern, is that people want it to be more automatic than it can be.
It's definitely going in that direction, but it needs extra layers. It's got layers. And nudges and yeah.
I think InfraDev is the right way for now. Which does have a manual element anyway, right?
Yeah, very much. And there was a discussion yesterday about, well, you know, InfraDev is important, but so is performance label, and so is, and my point to that was like, but InfraDev is the only one that is like aggressively triaged. There's 1,500 open issues with the performance tag. There's 67 issues with InfraDev, and that's too many. Like, we're trying to work it down. But, you know, it's about having like a very aggressive kind of like focus on those InfraDev ones. So.
Yeah, no, exactly. And
yeah,
if performance were higher priority, then we wouldn't have 1,000 open. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I've got to hop. I've got another call, but.
Right.
Good to chat.
Yeah, I'll upload this later. Cheers.
Bye.